Well, if you want to be a good Republican, you should support Kamala Harris. That's what Rob Reiner says, because apparently Liz Cheney is going to give Kamala Harris her vote. And, because if you want to know what a good Republican is, you should look at Liz Cheney. Yesterday or 2 days ago, also we have reports that apparently under Kamala Harris, GDP would be higher than it would be under Trump, because if there's any way to figure that. Plus, I think GDP is a stupid metric and it doesn't mean anything to me. But I thought I would discuss that. I had one other story up here to talk about. And then of course we're back to Russia, right? Russia collusion, Russia hoax, Russia blah 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 blah. Now, if you could please like my channel, follow my channel, subscribe, give my video a like, share my video, comment, help me grow. I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. This is Join or Die. I am a historian, a writer, a novel. I'm working on this podcasting thing, video thing. I do content creation, not just for myself. I've done it. I've helped make content, create content for a while in other mediums. So it's just kind of my hand at it. Now that it's finally done with my dissertation and my PhD, and I can get in with my real life and do different things. It's just kind of something I've jumped into. So we had this morning when I got up, I saw Rob Reiner, if you don't know who Rob Reiner is, he's a director. One of those people that once upon a time, you probably had seen a bunch of his movies. I don't really think Rob Reiner does much of anything these days. Rob Reiner was... I want to get my movies straight here. So if you were a fan of All in the Family growing up, he played Mike Stivic on the show. But as a director, he directed the cult classic The Princess Bride, the movie Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, and several other movies. And Rob Reiner, just like many people of his generation that are in entertainment, really likes to go up there and rail against Donald Trump, likes to rail against Republicans. And his entire Twitter account is just Rob Reiner having TDS. If you don't believe me, here it is. Once again, the convicted felon has been indicted for trying to overthrow the government, blah, blah, blah. Where's the outrage, the demand for prosecution for an incident because of the alleged incident that took place at Arlington Cemetery? He refers to Trump as the convicted felon every single time. This guy just seems like a complete TDS infected clown. There's this thing where like these old entertainment types, Hollywood types, writers like Stephen King, they think it's like this. They're all of a sudden they're cool because they're supporting the establishment. Here's Rob Reiner crying about Project 2025. The convicted felon admitted that he interfered with the 2020 election. Nobody cares. All right, there's a reason why Liz Cheney and every other Republican with a conscience is voting for Kamala Harris, because they have love of our Constitution and respect for the rule of law, and the idea of voting for a convicted felon is abhorrent. Then you have it here. Here's the story I was going to talk about as well. The whole thing with Russia. He's got Tim Pool there, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, Kremlin agents in the U.S. with millions of Twitter followers were paid $10 million by Russia to spread. Okay, this is complete and utter crap. There's nothing to this. This obsession with Russia is beyond laughable, considering today Vladimir Putin himself came out, or a report, the story came out today that Vladimir Putin wants Kamala Harris to win. Why would Putin actively be interfering in trying to get Trump to win if he wants Kamala Harris to win? Now listen, whether or not that's true, I would think it would be true. So here's a clip of Putin earlier endorsing her.
Support Ms. Harris, so that is what we are going to do.
Just a minute left.
If we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris, so that is what we are going to do. So it was, well, he said that we should, that is why we should also do that. Well, her laugh, she's laughing, her laugh is so fascinating. It means that
obviously sounds like
everything is good,
and
if everything is good.
Everything is good, so it means everything's so great under her, and they talk about how amazing it is.
It means that...
the point of this is...
For instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if everything is good with Ms. Harris, maybe she'll refrain herself from such measures, or maybe she'll change them. So in the end, it will be the choice of the U.S. people, and we will respect this choice.
Okay, so why would somebody who's saying that he wants Kamala Harris to win, why would he do that? Plus, if he is lying about wanting Kamala Harris to win, that looks like he may be mocking people or laughing at the idea, but to me it seems like he's laughing because he thinks it's a joke. And second of all, he seems to really take Joe Biden seriously, and what makes you think, oh man, he'll really take Harris seriously? I don't really care about this like Putin crap. Like, the guy is clearly a D-bag, and he's clearly maniacal, and he's clearly has authoritarian aims. But this premise that he's going to grossly interfere in our election by paying alleged agents inside of our borders to just sow information that's going to put Trump in office. I could see him wanting Kamala Harris over Trump by a long shot. Kamala Harris is not going to be running the country. Kamala Harris is just a puppet of the deep state. Kamala Harris will just continue to bankrupt this country, which is probably what someone like Putin would actually enjoy. Now, back to the Liz Cheney thing. Liz Cheney supporting Kamala Harris should be absolutely no surprise to you or anybody else. Her father is Dick Cheney, okay? In case you don't remember who Dick Cheney was George H.W. Bush's Secretary of Defense, and he was George W. Bush's Vice President, and he was actively involved in getting us into both Gulf Wars and the war in Afghanistan. He is a neoconservative. He'll claim he isn't actually one, but he sure liked to work alongside the neocons. And he's should be directly implicated in the horrible direction that America took once George W. Bush became president of the United States. George W. Bush was not a neoconservative. The neoconservatives just took over his party. Liz Cheney is his daughter. Liz Cheney is basically just a Democrat now. When Trump was in office, she was actively against everything he was doing. She is just like Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, that breed of Republican. So apparently, if you're a Republican with a conscience, you should be able to vote for Kamala Harris. Well, I have one issue with this. You can't call yourself a Republican if you're going to vote for Kamala Harris. You can call yourself a pro-uniparty, pro-establishment, whatever, independent, I guess. What about what would make a Republican go vote for Kamala Harris if you still have any principles or values that you consider to be more conservative? You don't have to like Trump. I'm over this whole thing with Trump. I'm a libertarian. I don't really have a dog in this fight. I would like any other candidates. And I'm not talking about Chase Oliver either. No thanks. But when it comes to this election, you know, Kamala Harris, it makes sense for some of these more traditional Republicans to back because she is she's aligned with all the things that they like. She likes war. She'll probably just continue our string of wars. She'll continue to grow the government. She'll continue the surveillance state. She'll continue government spending. She'll continue all the things that the neoconservatives liked. And they have actually infiltrated the party. I was talking about this yesterday. So when Irving Kristol and Norman Podhoretz and a bunch of these other guys basically came up with the idea of neoconservatism, they were liberals, they're leftists. A lot of them were Marxists or Trotskyists. They saw, they started to kind of push themselves away from what was going on with Stalin, and they decided that we wanted to start our own movement where we could be more liberal, more like communist-like in the United States, but we'll have a strong stance against Stalin in the USSR. That was the whole part of the whole deal. And they were going to infiltrate the party, and they were going to take over what's called then the New Left. The New Left was becoming anti-war. The New Left was kind of becoming the Democrat Party of, if you're my age, like, I'm in my late 30s, or even earlier, you always thought of the Democrats as being more of like the free speech, the more anti-government party, the more anti-war party, that type of thing. Well, notice how they've flipped completely. And their anti-war aspect was what pushed these guys away. Well, they wanted to infiltrate that party. They couldn't do it. So instead they started their own movement, which was actually kind of jokingly called neoconservatism. Well, neoconservatism became a big movement. And a lot of these values have now become traditional Democrat values. Well, also not traditional Democrat, but mainstream Democrat values, but also it's just become uniparty establishment values. And that's what they want. They want candidates that will continue this. That's what people like Rob Reiner think of, what Republicans should be about. Republicans should be about the respectable, the respectable old school conservative type politician who is probably an elitist D-bag who wants to rule the country and look down his nose at the peasants, just like the Democrats do now. The Democrats were once the party of the working class and the party of the party of the people, and they're just now they just have this elitist attitude about everything. So to say that Liz Cheney should be a model for Republicans that want to vote. Now I'm seeing this all over the internet where people are like, oh, well, I'm a Republican and I have to vote for Harris. You're not a Republican then. You maybe historically had some more conservative values, but you're going to vote for someone who has actually historically been one of the most radical leftists we've had in office, and her running mate is right there alongside her. Tim Walz pretended to be a moderate when he was running for Congress, and then turns out, oh, nope, he's pretty radical. Kamala Harris had one of the most radical Senate records when it came to leftist stuff. So you can't claim to be a Republican and then say you're going to vote for Kamala Harris. You're no longer a Republican. You're just a uniparty. You're just a uniparty hack. what are the values of conservatism anyways? What does it mean anymore to people? Oops. That's what I want to know. Because let's just see real quick what the traditional values of conservatism are. Republicans. Committed to traditional values, with opposition to change and innovation. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The holding of political views that favor free enterprise, private ownership, socially traditional ideas. Preserve traditional customs, values. They want to promote the nuclear family, organize religion, preserve the military, the nation state, property rights, the rule of law. Like, you're literally voting for none of this. I mean, you do your research and you go, oh, they okay, well, these people are going to vote for Harris. Then they're no longer, they just were traditionally a Republican. They were probably Republicans for no reason. They probably had they're probably like religious conservatives or something like that, or but this, because you're going to go vote for something that's really counter to anything you have. And if you truly are a principled person, you wouldn't be able to bring yourself to vote for them. You just wouldn't be able to do it. There's no way. Now, if your thing is, I want America to be the world's police, I want America to be the most elite military, I want America to boss everybody around, I want America to have her fingers in her hands in every stupid conflict across the world, there you go. Then sure, that's that, because that's not a traditional conservative value. That's a like neoconservative value, and neoconservatism has been something that's taken over. It became very mainstream in the 90s, 2000s, even under Reagan, and it's still very much a remnant today. It's very prominent now. It's kind of part of how the whole entire Democrat Party shifted. They flipped. None of those values. What do Democrats stand for now? Well, most of them they're for big government. They're for censorship. They are for big pharma. They're for big business. They're all the things they used to be against. They're for. Rob Reiner is Exhibit A. You know, this is a guy that's made very influential Hollywood movies, and a lot of these people were probably deemed like more of like he was an edgy countercultural type thing, and now they're just part of it. Like Stephen King. Stephen King just does nothing but whine on X about Trump. It's Trump. They're obsessed with Trump. Trump is the most. They have never been more obsessed with something in their entire lives like they are with Donald Trump. It's really pathetic. People need to get a freaking life and get over it. Like, give me a break. Even if he gets elected, oh no, okay, he's elected. He's out of office in 4 years. See ya. There's no proof that he's going to hang on forever. The guy's 80 years old already. And I assure you, if Kamala Harris gets elected, they're still going to turn around and blame everything on Trump somehow. Just like the bipartisan border bill. Well, it's Trump's fault that it didn't get passed, even though he's not in office. What a joke. So if you want to be a good little Republican, then you should vote for Kamala Harris. Sorry, if you're one of those Republicans that like, I'm a Republican and you're not a Republican anymore, let it go. You're just a whatever. You're just an independent that's voting for Harris. Because if you have any real semblance of values and principles in your life, that you would consider them conservative, a Republican, I don't know how you could say that and hang on to them and vote for her. I just don't know how you could do it. You're literally violating everything that Republicanism and conservatism stands for. All right, so Mark Cuban he's always up. I don't know if you know who he is. He's an MBA. He's a billionaire, of course. You know, he owns the Dallas Mavericks NBA team. He's on that show Shark Tank. He spends most of his days on X, crying about Elon Musk. He's one of those people that really seems to hate that there's free speech on X. That's what my opinion of it is, at least. He's on there he spends lots of his time on there railing against Elon Musk and railing against, and he's been very pro Kamala Harris. Now he's alleging Kamala Harris, she's pro business, and she's just amazing. And he's a businessman, he's a billionaire, so he knows everything. Which, good for you. You're a billionaire. That doesn't mean you understand economics. That's the thing that always irks me, is there's this idea with a lot of people that are like, well, they're obviously a billionaire, so they just must understand economics. Well, that's not true at all, because a lot of them abide by the more traditional ideas about economics. I'm not a billionaire, okay? I'm a historian. I'm a military, a political, and an economic historian. I'm a Mises Austrian. Sorry, I'm a Mises libertarian. So I'm an Austrian. My main focus is I like Austrian economics. I do some of the Chicago school stuff too, but they're a little bit different. So the Mises Institute is less based off economic, or Mises Institute. Geez, Mises, the Austrian School of Economics is based less on models and theories. It's based more on what drives humans, purpose, things like that, right? Whereas the Chicago School kind of falls into a different category where they actually do still depend on theories and mathematical models and things like that, but they are also based on using historical evidence, things like that. Think like Thomas Sowell. He's a disciple of this. So my take is using GDP as a measure for anything is just a bad measure. It's using GDP as a measure for the quality of economy in a country is just it's stupid, and it's also just it's only ever going to be beneficial to the politicians, because GDP is just a measure of the value of the final goods and things produced during a set period of time. So they break it up into quarters usually, and they're not measuring the value. They're not measuring what money is being spent on when it comes to production. They're not measuring that. So there's no way to tell whether you're spending you're creating wealth through building means of production. It's just basically money spent. That's what you're looking at with GDP. A lot of it's just like how much was spent. That's what matters, right? That's the final value, because it's what it is. We spent X amount of money to produce this much stuff. Doesn't matter. You could produce, and it's all stupid. It's based off average prices, which is preposterous. And you could produce $1 billion worth of plastic forks and go leave them in a field somewhere, and you're like, look, $1 billion worth of forks was made. It's cool. It's not helping anybody with anything, right? It's just a stupid example, but I'm just saying. So GDP is dumb. GDP is just really about, it's very good for the government and politicians to use GDP as a metric, because they can roll in government spending into this metric. And so this idea that Kamala Harris will be better for GDP, will have a higher GDP under Kamala Harris than under Trump. First of all, there's no real way to know that. Second of all, I don't really care. I want to know, Are we going to invest in infrastructure? Are we going to invest? I don't want government investment in anything. I would like the private sector to be so affluent that people are spending money to invest in future production. We don't do that in the United States. We don't invest. We're doing very much what, like, we're doing very much what like the Soviet Union did. We just produce stuff for war and everything like that, and we export all sorts of things like that, and then we import stuff, spending our money abroad, but we're not really investing in the United States of America to manufacture much of anything. They'll give government subsidies, don't do anything. Government subsidies is a very poor driver of the economy. Keynesian economics and the Keynesian economists would argue differently, but Keynes' model is completely outdated, and I would say it's been 100% disproven at this point that it actually works, but we still hang on because it's an inflationary model that the only way to have a good economy, a consistently good economy, is to just inflate the crap out of our money. And it's not worked because we don't have a consistently good economy. It's never worked. So overall, this whole thing is stupid. And people are using GDP as a measure for somehow you should vote for Kamala Harris because she will bring it. She will have a higher of this random number. Oh, okay. Let me get on that. It doesn't mean anything. So when it comes to Trump, the two of them, Trump spent more money than any other president did prior to him and since, I believe. A lot of that was relief during the coronavirus pandemic, which, of course, we just had to print trillions of dollars for that. And then Biden is just doing the typical, like the continuation of the Obama administration where we just blow money on everything. We'll just print money, send it abroad, whatever. And so neither one of them, I think, are going to be good for government. They're not really going to cut back government spending. What you really want is who can be a better driver policy-wise for creating wealth in the United States, creating an investment through the private sector, meaning just get the economy to a place where people are willing to people don't need to go spend their paycheck now. They can save money, enough money to invest in something that will actually make more money in the future. That's what you should be trying to do. And they're not doing that. People can't afford to do that here. And plus, now with Kamala Harris coming into office, she wants to penalize anybody that's wealthy. Democrat Party demonizes people who are wealthy. They always have. It's this thing where, like, somehow if you're wealthy, you're just a dirtbag, you hoard all this money. It's not, they don't understand how that works. Your net worth is not the amount of money in your bank account. And so what people are going to do is, they spend their money on, their net worth is tied up in companies that give people jobs and paychecks and production. So we're going to punish people for having wealth. Well, they're going to take their stuff abroad. They're going to ditch the United States when it comes to that kind of thing. So that's bad. But also, overall, there's nothing that I would look at Kamala Harris to go, oh, she's pro-business, so she's going to fix the economy and people should want to invest. The people are going to be able to save up all this money to invest in the future. I think the only real people that benefit from Democrats in office are corporations. If you don't think that's true, then why do corporations overwhelmingly support Democrats? They've railed on this many times. Now, Trump's economic thing is stupid because he wants tariffs. I think tariffs are dumb. There should be free trade. There should be no impediments to trade. Tariffs actually just make things more expensive, especially in a country like us where we import the crap out of everything. But historically, tariffs were how the federal government made money. There was no federal income tax at one point in time. The only way the federal government used to make money was through tariffs. You're talking like Civil War era, which there's underlying issues here, but part of it, like it was partially one of the things that pushed America towards civil war was higher tariffs that were coming their way. So, GDP though, I don't know how you can measure for it, but I'm largely going to guess that Kamala Harris, they're going to predict a higher GDP under her because they're just going to spend more of our money that we don't have and invest it through subsidies and things like that. Why is that bad? It's bad because it never works. Subsidies have strings attached. Subsidies require you to go through mountains of red tape. Look at Biden's CHIPS Act, for example. The CHIPS Act was supposed to, get us rolling when it comes to superconductors, things like that. We need them. We get them all from Taiwan. We need those stupid things. There's no reason we shouldn't be manufacturing them here. We don't, though. We do, but very little. So, okay, cool. We'll make this CHIPS Act. We'll subsidize it. We'll give government money. And what happens with first of all, subsidies? What sucks is subsidies incentivizes. Subsidies does not inspire innovation, and subsidies does not inspire people to actually work harder and produce a better product. The free market works where, they make the best superconductors and they make them in the shortest amount of time. Let's buy from them. Other companies go, well, we need to be like them. Subsidies just make everybody go, whatever. We're all getting paid anyways. But the CHIPS Act specifically it was ridiculous with how much red tape it was tied up in this thing. You had to hire certain, you had to check 1 million boxes with certain employees as far as like women, minorities, et cetera, et cetera. By the time you got around to actually getting any of this money, it would have been irrelevant. So the GDP though, if you pump money into the economy, GDP will look higher. And I think that's what you're going to be looking at with Kamala Harris. Them predicting a higher GDP with Harris is not a good thing, because it's not going to be a naturally high GDP. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to come up with any of her own economic plans, just like, most presidents don't come up with an all-around plan, but I don't look at her and Tim Walz and go, they're experts on the economy, they should know what to do. No, they'll just freaking, consult with government economists, and the government economists will go, I know what the plan should be. Piss money away. Oh, dude, brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? So, yeah. Mark Cuban, I don't know if I showed you this tweet, by the way. So here we go. It's this is a clip from Fox News. Goldman Sachs came out today and said that the GDP will significantly decrease under Trump, and it will continue to increase under Kamala Harris. So if you want to go look at that clip, go for it. I'm slowly running out of time here, or quickly running out of time. The last thing I wanted to talk about was Russia. So in case you're not familiar with the story, there was news that broke that Russia was interfering in our election again through propaganda, essentially. Sorry. Taxes that people are talking about. Didn't mean to have that going. Okay, so what was happening was Russia was interfering with our elections allegedly through propaganda, and there's a company called Tenet Media, which is basically like a digital network type thing where they host various shows, and they hosted some prominent, more, not even conservative, just prominent podcasters. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Lauren Chen. There's a bunch of these people. That was with Rob Reiner's dumb thing where he was like, agents of Russia. This Benny Johnson, Lauren Southern. So in case you're not aware, so here's this. I think Lauren Southern. So what it was, Tim Pool's show it's called The Culture War. So for a while, Tim Pool had he had a couple different podcasts going. And one of them, so he had like 3 YouTube channels, and he decided to like designate one of his YouTube channels to a show called The Culture War, where they bring people with different opinions on and different things, and they talk about it. Well, Tenet Media picked that up, and they produced other shows. And now they're alleging that this company was being used to launder money from the Russians were using this company to launder money. Is really what it boiled down to. And it's just amusing to me. And as far as like most people are involved in this, they're just the victims of this scheme. But people are going to look at this and go, well, they're using this money because they're giving this money to conservative pundits to propagandize propagandize people into voting for Donald Trump. And it's like, okay, first of all, nothing any of those people are saying is illegal. They're not doing anything. They're not saying anything that I don't believe anything they're saying is something that they're just coming out right. They're outright lying to propagandize you. They just don't seem that insincere to me. But it's amazing that here we are once again. This is Russia interfering in the election. They're always going. This record is so broken. They still continue to do this stuff where they're like, Trump loves Putin. Trump is an agent of Putin. I remember when Tucker Carlson went and interviewed Putin, Hillary Clinton saying that Putin is it's no shock he interviewed Putin because Tucker's just an agent of Putin. Like, shut up. You just sound like such a buffoon, dude. You do. It's such a joke. Like, you're that doesn't resonate with people, okay? It will resonate with the left. It'll resonate with the Democrat morons who will buy into that no matter what. No matter what happens, these idiots will have to get outraged about it because somehow it's going to go back to Trump, go back to Tucker, go back to the right, go back to the conservatives, everybody they hate. But this is exactly what was going to happen. Now that this news broke, now they're going to claim that prominent right-wing voices like Tim Pool and Lauren Southern I believe she's the producer for The Culture War. So it's not like she has her own show where that's through Tenet. It's a network that produced the show to make money for that network or whatever, that media company. They have the company has no say in what goes on those shows. They just put it out. So whether that's true or not, that people are funneling money or laundering it, I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. It's not my place to say. But this idea that people like Benny Johnson and Tim Pool and Lauren Southern and Dave Rubin are like Russian agents, this is exactly the outcome that they wanted from this type of thing. So it sure seems like this benefited the left more than it harmed them, because now they can go, oh, look at what they've done. Look at what they're working for Putin. Ridiculous. I'll brush on that a little bit more tomorrow. I gotta go. Now that we're back in school, back in school time, we gotta go pick up kids from school every day. Wahoo! So, all right, I'll be back with you tomorrow. This is Join or Die. I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. Please like my show or my video, subscribe to my channel, and if you could, just follow me on X. The link is in my bio for my channel, and enjoy the start of NFL football tonight. Have a great night. Goodbye.